So, my name is Sadhana Meshram and I'm going to present a project on biological hazards. The importance of understanding this topic. There's coronavirus throughout the world right now, and we should know that what are we facing and how can we get in contact with them and how can we protect ourselves. A biological hazard is a substance that can pose a threat to living organisms, primarily humans, and these could be microorganisms, virus, or toxins that can affect human health. This United States Center for Disease Control (CDC) has categorized the biological hazards in 4 levels. Level 1 are non-infectious bacteria. They most likely involve gloves and some sort of facial protection, and the precautions are not that required. And level 2 can cause mild diseases to humans, but okay, sorry. And level 3, bacteria and viruses, they can cause fatal diseases in humans, but vaccines and other treatments exist for them. Level 4, that these can cause diseases to humans and fatal diseases, but vaccines and other treatments are not available. The term and the symbol that are used as a warning. So the people that are potentially exposed to the substances will know to take precautions. The symbol was developed in 1966 by Charles Baldwin. He was an environmental health engineer. Uh, Biohazards are exposed to people in many ways: through skin, eye, mouth, nose, or contact with blood. Um, we can take precautions to protect ourselves from biohazards. Some of the precautions are treating every situation, including biohazards, dangerous, washing our hands frequently with warm water and soap, wearing personal protective equipment while responding to situations involving biohazards, and utilizing proper disposal methods like biohazard bags or containers. Okay, next. Now I will take any suggestions or comments if you have any.
Thank you for sharing that. So if anyone has any comments or questions, they could do in the chat. And that was a good, very amazing topic. So thank you for sharing that with us. So if anyone has any questions, you could put in the chat window or unmute yourself.
Okay, Sadhama, very beautiful presentation. Beta, can you please share it again? And maybe, some.
No, or not? Yes.
No. Speak in right. Ask a question.
Rajwal, can you check the chat window and unmute people? I think some questions we are getting in chat window.
Sure, yeah, I can definitely see and take those questions.
I have made you co-host also, okay? So you can unmute people.
Okay, great. I see Vaishnavi has a question. So Vaishnavi, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, Vaishnavi. Go ahead.
Oh, you just unmuted. So let me
Okay.
Yeah,
now
we could hear you.
Yes, I want to ask that can I prepare another story tell on another Saturday? On next Saturday.
Okay, so we have a full. We're full next week, but in 2 weeks you could tell the story. Another.
Okay. Okay, so
So does anyone have any questions for Sandama?
Beta, can you make the presentations on again? Go to the first slide. It was a beautiful presentation. Thanks for putting it all together. Very nice information. So how did you come up with the topic, Beta? Can you help us understand?
We had it like a project in school, so I decided to use it and change it a bit and present it here.
Nice. Okay. Okay, so go to the next slide.
This one.
So my question to you is, I see that there are two subjects here in your topic, geography and biology.
No, the geography, it was related to health hazards. So biological hazards is categorized into health hazards. So the main subject was geography.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question. This is Shanak, and can you move to the slide with the phase 1 and the phase 2?
Levels.
Yeah, the levels.
Yeah.
So for biohazard level 4, how often is it how often do biohazards level 4 happen?
I don't think they happen very often because throughout history and these many level 4 biohazards have not come up. Like coronavirus can be a level 4 hazard because there are no vaccines, and I don't remember the last time any fatal diseases happened.
Okay, thank you.
No, I think we need to do a little bit of research, Beta, because see, in the past, in the history, okay, and I think you guys all can Google a little bit on this one. On YouTube also you can see. There have been in the history, we've seen that very fatal diseases like malaria, cholera, chickenpox, Spanish flu, any other things that you guys know, that they were very, they caused pandemics, right? Pandemics means Rita, if you're not talking, please keep yourself muted so that we don't get disturbance. Okay. So if you Google a little bit on this one, biological results, search on pandemics, okay? Historical pandemics. And historical pandemic means global. You can also search on epidemics. Okay, pandemics means global, epidemics means something regional, right? Sometimes you will see that it is because of the geographical conditions and environment, some things are very prone, some places are very prone to certain diseases. Like for example, in Africa, malaria was very common, right? Because of the mosquitoes. So like that, in different places, depending upon the environment, different kind of flus, because of the, of course, underlying viruses and bacteria have originated in the past. And you know what? Our friend Prajwal, he's a research scientist. You know, he works for a pharma company. He can tell us more. Prajwal, do you want to touch upon a little bit on this topic for our kids?
Sure. So I was going to ask, in the recent past, besides coronavirus, we recently had another epidemic. It was not a pandemic, which was a class 4 biohazard. Can anybody recall?
SARS?
Yeah, SARS was one of them, but it was more deadlier than SARS. And it was mostly specific to the Latin American and the South American countries.
Spanish flu?
No. Spanish flu was way back.
Yeah.
It was
Not recent, right? Okay.
I think I know, but
recently.
Was that the
Ebola?
one?
Yes, Ebola. So Ebola was another, class 4 biohazard that was contained. But if you look at the rate of infection, so rate of infection is the ability of the virus to transmit among people, right? So let's say if you talk about the common flu, which happens year long from region to region, in India during monsoons, in the US during spring season when the pollen is at its peak, or during fall when the weather is getting cold, the ability of the flu or the virus or the bacteria to transmit to people vary from the disease to disease, the virus to virus, and that is what determines how severe or how deadly the virus is. So if you look at the common flu, it has the capacity to infect about one person. So if you have flu, uh, the chances are people who are very close to you in close proximity, you can at max infect one person. With the coronavirus, you can infect much more. I think it is about 2.5. So if you are infected, two people around you, and then maybe partially you can infect one more. And that chain is what triggers, these diseases and make them pandemic or, global. In case of Ebola, if I could recall, it was much, much severe. But because it was contained in a very, narrow geography, it did not translate to a pandemic. But had that been a pandemic, the mortality rate would have been much severe than the SARS COVID-19 virus. Okay. So yeah, I mean, these viruses are very, very difficult to contain, and there is a lot of research that is currently ongoing, because the viruses have the capacity to train themselves, to be able to circumvent our immune response system. They're able to proliferate, and they are able to infect much more. And that's why developing a vaccine takes a lot of research. And one interesting thing that I would like to tell everyone is the HIV virus, for example, the human immunodeficiency virus, which causes AIDS. The first known incident was sometime in 1980s, I guess, or yeah, first known incident. It was like 1980s, which is like about 40 years from where we are today. Yet we do not have a vaccine for AIDS. And it could be compelling with all the research acumen that we have. We still do not have a vaccine for it. In itself tells you how difficult it is to contain these viruses, because they are mutating continuously. It's very difficult to understand which virus are you going to target. The moment you develop something against that virus, it mutates and it becomes something else, and then it can evade your immune system, and it can invade a healthy human, and it can it requires a host, and it can then proliferate, and then it can infect more people. And that's the reason even to this day we do not have a vaccine for it. But there are there is a lot of progress that has been made, and most likely maybe by 2030 we shall have a vaccine for AIDS. But in case of COVID, because there is a lot of cross collaboration that is happening between different countries, companies, hopefully by next year we should have a vaccine, and we should get back to our new normal. So that's from me. If you have any questions for me, I'll be very happy to take them for you.
Thank you, Prajwal, for that talk. Thank you. Yeah,
Sure.
very informative. So if anyone has any questions for Saddharma or Prajwal, you could please ask.
Hi, this is Milind. I have a question for Saddharma.
Yep, go ahead.
Saddharma, or maybe we all can try to find out. Can can we find out one example of each bio hazard level, like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4? I'm assuming level 4 is coronavirus, and of course the recent uh, Shonagi just mentioned. How about level 1, level 2, and level 3? If we can open up the presentation and go and see if they matches with our example. Saddama, can you open up the presentation?
Got it?
Are you guys interested in knowing the examples of level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just doing on the Google and I find level 4, I think we are very well aware what's happening in current situation, coronavirus. So let me start with level 1. Level 1, I see one example of E. coli disease.
Milind?
Yeah.
Can kids find out? Can they Google and find out themselves? Let's give like a exercise, and then if they don't, then we will definitely help them out. So
That
kids,
sounds good.
yeah, kids, can you just try to Google, say biological hazard level 1, 2, 3, 4 examples. Let's do that. And Sadhama, meanwhile, can you please share beta your screen, that particular slide? Nice. Okay. So read it out. First one is?
Got it?
Bacteria and viruses like cell cultures and non-infectious bacteria. At this level, precautions against the biohazards materials in questions are minimal, most likely involving gloves and
They are
some
asking
sort of
question.
facial protection. Okay, if you are not talking, please keep yourself muted. Grace and Athena, beta, do you see any examples?
Ma'am, I have. Ma'am, in Google I have seen.
What are the examples, beta? First level?
A biological hazard or biohazard is a biological substances that poses the threat to the health of living organisms and primarily humans. This could include a sample of microorganisms and virus or toxins that can adversely affect humans.
There are a lot of examples on
Please keep yourself muted.
biohazard. There are a lot of examples on Wikipedia's biohazard page.
Okay, Wikipedia's biohazard page. Okay, so again, examples, guys. Let's get example, Vaishnavi.
Mold and fungi, blood and bloody fluids, sewage, airborne pathogens such as common cold, stinging insects, harmful plants and animals and birds droppings.
Okay, so this is Shanuk, and I found, so level 4 is Ebola, so now I'm gonna look at level 3.
And just say beta examples, okay? When you are making a Google search, say examples. Otherwise, what you're going to get is just information, right? We have the information now. We're looking for examples.
Biohazard level.
Okay, so Milind, is that a correct example what Vaishnavi said?
Yes, it's a correct example, but I want to know some very common example that we see every day, like a common cold, malaria, HIV, those kind of thing, and how are we going to categorize that, like tuberculosis, TB?
Okay, so you're saying various diseases, where do they fall, right? Which
Yeah.
fall in which biohazard level? Okay, so maybe common cold. I get common cold all the time. We call it sardi, right? In Hindi and Marathi, right? All the time. And what happens? It comes and it follows its cycle, right? For 2-3 days and it goes away. It doesn't even need medicine, right? Sometimes if you go to the doctor and say, I got a cold, he'll say, oh, just stay at home and it will go away. Just the way it came, it will go away. So that's the first example, maybe?
But it says, the level 1 says it's a non-infectious bacteria.
So maybe like, I guess a bird poop or something, or like a bee sting.
Yeah, go say.
Maybe like bird poop on you, or like bee sting. Or...
Okay.
Yes.
Is that right, Milind?
Well, I really don't know, but that's what I'm trying to find out from everybody.
Yeah, okay. Prajwal, can you help us here?
Yeah, so I think level 1 could be E. coli. I think it is fairly very common. If you could recall, I guess 2 years ago, E. coli caused massive disruptions in the United States, and maybe in Canada too, in the food supply. A lot of people eat raw vegetables, right, for salads and whatnot. E. coli, if you do not wash your vegetables properly, is known to thrive, a lot, right? And if you consume those vegetables without proper cooking or without proper washing, then they would, settle in your stomach, in your tummy, and they would bring about all kinds of, adverse events with them. Most people have good immune system, and we are able to neutralize it fairly easily, but some people have compromised immune systems and it could be fatal. So although it is a biohazard level 1 disease or infection, if you overlook its severity, it can be deadly. So although we categorize them as level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, it all depends on how are you approaching it. Take for instance COVID-19, right? Although it has killed a lot of people, but at the same time, it has also infected a lot of people who were able to cope up just fine, just like any common, flu. So it all depends on, how are you approaching? What are the measures you are taking? So it's very important that we wash our hands, we wash our veggies, we keep our environment clean, we ensure that we do not take all these things, just very, laxly. We have to be very we have to incorporate our due diligence. And when it is cold, make sure that you're wearing, sweaters, you're wearing your jackets as appropriate, your hand gloves, your mufflers, your ear, caps and whatnot. So all these infections, though divided into different categories, are divided based on how well can we, tackle them. Is there a medication out there or not? But it depends from person to person. If you have a very weak immune system, or if you have underlying issues, a type 1, biohazard can also be deadly. And for a person who has a very strong immune system, and if he is able to take all, proper precautions, a type 4 or a level 4 biohazard can not do anything. So, the example that I can think of for level 1 biohazard, which has disrupted a lot of supply chain, if you could recall, it was Chipotle. that was because of E. coli.
Yep. And then Prajwal, I think we have one example in chat window saying Grace and Athena are saying cancer is level 3.
Cancer is level 3?
Yes. Is that right?
So okay. So cancer is not caused by a bacteria or a virus. So it's not a biological hazard. It is caused by a mutation within your body. Okay, your normal cell has a function, a normal function. Okay, it has its own due course of life during which it does its function. Okay, if that cell becomes rogue, so rogue means if it undergoes some kind of mutation, and now all of a sudden decides to proliferate very rapidly, is what is called as a cancer. So cancer is not caused by a bacteria or a virus, so you cannot develop a vaccine for cancer. Okay, so let's be very clear about that. A cancer is just a mutant that happens in our body because of something. There are so many different causes that causes cancer. So it's the abnormal growth or abnormal proliferation of our cells, which then proliferate into different tissues, organs, is what is called as cancer. So it's not a biohazard.
Thank you so much.
So, hi. Based on your description, I see that since common cold is not really fatal, it won't fall into any of these categories. Cancer is also because it's not a viral or a bacterial infection. It is not going to fall into any of these categories.
Nice. Okay, adults, if you're not talking, please keep yourself muted. Okay.
There are some other examples I see online. Biohazard level 3, tuberculosis, TB that we call, it's very common in India, and also a few other places, many other places in fact. That falls under biohazard level 3.
Okay, so that's TB is related to lungs, right, Milan?
Yes.
Okay, so your when TB impacts your lungs, is it a bacteria or a virus? TB is what? I think
tuberculosis, I don't know.
Sure. Prajwal, I think, can you help us understand, is that not really that, for viral, you really don't get medicine, but for bacterial only you have medicines? What was that, a myth, or I don't know, is it a real thing? Can you just touch upon that for our kids, or for me also?
I'm sorry, Vinaya, what was the question? So for bacterial infections, we have vaccine, but for viral infections, we don't?
Yeah, or medicine or vaccine.
No, the medicines, antibacterial versus antiviral.
Yeah, so we do have medications for both antibacterial as well as antiviral diseases. So for example, HIV is a viral infection, and you have medicine for it, right? I mean, although it does not cure it, but it contains it to a certain degree. It's the same thing with bacteria too. The essential difference between bacteria and a virus is one is living versus the other one, which is non-living. And also, viruses are known to survive much more harsher, environmental conditions than bacteria do. So just a thought for everyone to ponder over. I think most people hear about serious life-threatening diseases, right? For example, cancer or, whatnot. I mean, people get frightened when they hear about all this. But I think the biggest challenge for us in the next, century is going to be the antibacterial resistance. We have developed a lot of antibacterial medications, and bacteria and viruses are very, very smart. The way they try to invade our bodies over and over and over and over again is because they are persistent. They want to ensure that for their survival they need a healthy host, because without a host they cannot survive. So if we develop medications for them, and if the bacteria or the virus invade us, they know that okay, we can take the medication and we can neutralize them. So what do? They try to see if they can get resistant to that medication. And the way they do it is they try to, withstand. Let's say you are being punished by somebody, right? For the first time you face that situation, you may be very sensitive because you have never ever faced or been caned by somebody, and you may start crying, right? The very minute. Day two, somebody canes you, you may already know how it feels like. So you may develop some, tolerance, and maybe you may still cry. Day three, same thing. You may cry, but you still know, okay, how does it feel like? You have developed the pain threshold. Now, day four, day five, day six, maybe by day 10, even if somebody beats you, the person may get tired, but you may not cry. Right? It may be possible. So it's the same thing with bacteria and viruses too. I mean, even though we may develop these medications, but because they have become resistant to them, no longer are they, prone, or they are immune to these medications anymore. They cannot be, neutralized. So what do? Maybe we increase the dose and see if by increasing the dose, are we able to neutralize the virus or the bacteria successfully? Maybe we can, maybe we may not. What if we can't? So I think for the next generation or so, it's not the cancer, or it's not the, the other serious diseases that we may have to worry about. It's the antibacterial resistance. And these, seemingly very innocuous, organisms are very, very deadly, especially for people living in third world countries, where the hygiene is not, very good, where, there are no proper measures in place to contain them. It can be fatal, and these can actually trigger massive amount of, mortalities. So that's why it's very important that unnecessarily we should stay away from, taking any antibiotics, antivirals. If it is required, only under the supervision we need to take them, and we should never ever take them on a very, very long and continuous, manner. These are not lifestyle, diseases. They happen for a short period of time. There are ways to control them, and you should never ever take them on a very, very continuous manner. Otherwise, if the bacterial infection happens again, there is no medication for you to save. So yeah, that is something that every one of us need to be aware of. But yeah, to answer your question, Vinaya, there are medications for both bacteria as well as virus.
Okay, thank you so much, Prajwal. That was very, very insightful. Thank you.
I just want to spell out few examples from the Wikipedia. Shall I?
Yes.
Okay, so the biosafety level, I think it's the same as biohazard level here, BSL. I see E. coli, we just discussed on the common names I want to take. E. coli is level 1. On level 2, surprisingly, we also have HIV, we have Salmonella, and so
Milind,
those are.
can I make you presenter, and you can just share your wiki, whatever page, just a sec, hold on.
Sure, yeah, let's do that.
How do we do that? Okay. Yeah, can you find him? Okay. Yeah.
Page check.
You are co-host, Milind.
Yeah, you're co-host.
So let's stop sharing.
Yeah, no, we're not even sharing. So
yeah,
just share your screen.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me see. If you go to BSL.
Okay, BSL stands for biological safety levels.
Yeah.
Okay, kids. So you also, try to do same thing what Milind is doing in your computer, right? We have to learn how to even search things on computer.
I did this.
Oh, nice.
So here we go, biosafety level 1. And you can see E. coli out here.
Yeah.
There's some other medical names which I don't know what it transforms into our common names. That's one. Number 2, you are going to see some interesting names. There is HIV here. There is E. coli here, but it's a pathogenic strain of E. coli. Staphylococcus, I think these are stuffed throat thing that we usually call. And Salmonella, that's also in US we have observed many times, spreading it through even salad and other raw vegetables. Then in level 3, you could see different names like West Nile virus, chikungunya, yellow fever virus, and then you also see tuberculosis. It's a bacterial. And those are the common names. I'm just taking it. Then we have SARS, SARS-2, MERS that we have seen recently. We call it bird flu and H1N1. Then on level 4 is what Rajul also mentioned earlier. We have names like smallpox, we have Ebola virus, and there are other names, Hendra virus, Nipah virus. So those are the common names. I just wanted everybody to know and recognize why it is biohazard safety level and why it could spread to multiple people and a larger population. Okay, that's from my side.
Thank you so much.